Good evening, everybody. This is Al Rainey, aka Dusty Brick Brown, with the Comic Hall and Roundtable discussion. I know you see James Rainey Jr. down there. That's my government name, so please don't try to pull me up in any databases. With the Comic Hall and Roundtable discussion, and today I have the utmost pleasure and the congenial honor of interviewing one of the first independent Black comic book creators that I discovered when I jumped on Instagram about a year and a half, 2 years ago. In my opinion, my humble opinion, this man has a wonderful idea and a concept that I truly believe in, and I believe fans of cartoons, anime, and Black culture will love it. Now, the man that I'm speaking of is to my left, and is none other than Joshua Bullock, creator of the Monarchs Comics series and other projects that we'll hopefully touch on as well. First and foremost, how you doing this evening, Josh?
Oh man, I'm doing all right. Just busy. It's staying busy.
I know that's right. In this particular COVID climate, you have no other choice. But you either stay
Oh
busy or
yeah.
you get stagnant. So, but yeah,
Yep.
I'm glad to have you on. We appreciate you taking time out, man, to
Oh,
do this interview. So, what I want to do is just start off by telling the audience about yourself, where you're from, and what you're
yeah.
all about, sir.
All right. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Josh Bullock. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. Still here. Hoping to get out soon. Um, but yeah, I went to the University of St. Francis where I graduated from. Got a bachelor's in animation. I definitely did not know I'd be getting into comics. If you'd asked me at that time, I would have thought you were crazy.
Right, right.
um, but so yeah, went to University of St. Francis. I actually, I went there to play football, and just did my little animation thing, and got hurt playing football. My junior year kind of took me out. And so that's when I really started getting like super serious. Of course, I'm like, I ain't going to the NFL,
Yeah,
but I really started getting serious about my animation stuff, and so then I graduated. Attempted the whole Disney internship thing, and that kind of fell through.
mhm.
And so I was kind of trying to figure out my path, and started doing YouTube videos.
Okay.
Have a YouTube channel, Sky Legend Animation, which I haven't touched that in it's been about a year and a half now. But yeah, so I did that for a little bit, and then was found by a company called Smash Bits Animation.
Mhm.
They're located in Kentucky now. They were in Evansville,
Okay.
and so I went down to Evansville and worked for about 2 years, and then decided, I was like, I wanted to kind of do a freelance thing, and it was around that time when Monarch started to like, come up,
Mhm.
and so I was like, well, I kind of want to develop this and see where I can take it, and so I left, moved back here to Indianapolis, and then the rest is history. Been here, started uploading stuff to Instagram, and started working on the first chapter and stuff like that. So it's been about two and a half years, 2.5 years, almost 3 years that I've been working on this now.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, and just doing freelance and trying to pay the bills while I work on this.
I feel you.
So
Side question: what position did you play in school?
so when I was in high school, I was a receiver.
Okay.
Um, and then I kind of they switched me my senior year to DB,
Mm,
and then in college that's what I was. I was DB and free safety.
okay. Cool. Cool. I
Yeah.
played in high school,
And,
and
oh, nice.
yeah, but I had that. I call it the junior high the junior year tragedy. Well, I actually messed up my ankle, and that was a
Oh,
wrap for me. So I played right tackle and right guard, and I was going to play in
oh
my
yeah,
senior year defensive tackle, but since I messed up my ankle, man, it was a wrap. So
man.
I
My
didn't
my
see.
pops my pops his junior year, he broke his leg.
Yeah, man.
It's a curse, dog.
Yeah,
We
it's
are
conjuring
cursed.
conjuring memories, man. I don't want to go back in time, not right now. So Right, cool beans. Well, let me just ask you this now. In the comic book community, there's a thing called origin story, where an
Yeah.
individual tells a story about how they got into whatever geek related thing that they're into, whether it be cartoons, comic books, anime, video games, blah, blah, blah. So with that said, what's your origin story?
Oh man. So the first, I guess the first time that I can remember, and I was probably watching cartoons before this,
Hmm.
but the first time that I can remember really sitting down and watching cartoons was I had pneumonia, and I think this was like when I was like 6 or 7, maybe,
Mm,
um, maybe 7 or 8, and I came home after having pneumonia for about a week, and my dad had just got Cartoon Network.
mm.
That's when it was that's when when it first started up. And and so I came home, and the first thing I watched was Godzilla, the old Hanna Barbera
And I know
Godzilla.
you see the posters behind me, man, but I'm a huge Godzilla fan.
Yeah.
Love
Oh man, man. And so when I saw that, I was like, "Yo, what's this?" And so of course, that's really sparked my love.
it. Mm,
And of course, I watched like Dexter's Laboratory. I watched uh, the Powerpuff Girls and all that stuff when I was growing up. Johnny Bravo.
mm,
Um, And so, so I grew up with all of that. But then, I guess in my fourth and fifth grade year, Toonami started coming around. And, I came home from school one day and I saw these dudes fighting. These big old buff dudes fighting. I saw this dude got his little yellow hair and started punching this alien. And I said, what is this?
yeah, yeah.
Um, it was just completely different. I had never seen anything like it, and that was my first like foray into anime.
Mm,
And of course it was Dragon Ball Z, and so at that point it was a wrap. Every day after school, I had to be home at like 4 because I had to watch that next episode of Dragon Ball Z,
mm,
and then from there, it was a wrap. And of course, I've always loved Spider-Man, so I was a huge fan of Spider-Man. I watched all the little cartoons growing up of Spider-Man. I love X-Men, um, and so I guess you could say I was more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan.
okay.
But yeah, that's really what kind of sparked like my interest. And then of course, with Dragon Ball Z, of course, then I found out that there was Dragon Ball. So I had to go back and watch that because I
Right.
was like, yo, I didn't know that they had a version where he was a kid. And of course I found that hilarious.
Mm,
And so yeah, that really like got me into what I do today and really kind of inspired like a lot of monarchs.
okay. All right. That segue into my next question. So tell the people at home, work, or wherever they're watching and listening to this interview, what is Monarchs?
So Monarchs follow the story of Jakari and Pepper. They're two kids from the blocks. They want to be these powerful fighters called monarchs. Each monarch has a crown above their head, and the crowns are different colors, signifies how powerful they are. So basically, if you look at a monarch, if they have a gold crown or if they have like a silver crown or whatever, you know how powerful that monarch is. So that's basically what Jakari and Pepper want to do, and so they're chasing these crowns and essentially meeting a whole bunch of different characters. You got Cyrus on your shirt there. Cyrus is one of them.
And ladies and gentlemen, let me
um,
just say, hold on one second. This was coincidental. Josh did not know I was gonna rock this shirt tonight. So we're
I had
in wavelength,
I had no idea.
Just had to represent, that's all. Just had to represent.
Hey, I appreciate that. But yeah, so and then Iris is another character. And so, they kind of all team up and kind of go on, kind of a Dragon Ball-esque adventure.
Hmm.
Just kind of seeing the world and stuff like that. And then we get to learn more about the world of monarchs and what's really going on with everything.
Cool, cool. So how did you really, when you first started the Monarchs, and I'm gonna get that right, Monarchs comics landscape, at what age did the idea come to you, and what, I know you just mentioned the Dragon Ball S type theme, But what else
Mm.
actually contributed to you actually coming and forming that particular free idea of Monarchs?
Yeah, so the actual idea for Monarch started about like 3 years ago.
Mm,
Um, it gave me kind of an avenue because, of course, I've been drawing since I was in like kindergarten, since before I, could do anything else. And so as I have a ton of characters that I was able to put into um, this series. So, and I've done kind of like these little Instagram things where I kind of take snapshots of old designs and stuff from when I was a kid.
mm,
So it's allowed me to do that. But, the whole idea came out about 3 years ago. I got on Instagram and I saw a whole bunch of artwork, like Dragon Ball Z type of artwork, but with black characters.
right.
And I was like, yo, this art is dope. But like, why is there not, like, why is no one really trying to like create, I would say, like a spiritual successor
Mm-hmm.
or something along the lines of like a Dragon Ball story with black characters in the original storyline? And so I said, well, I mean, I guess I'll do it. and, and the rest was history at that point.
Well, I will say this, man. When I jumped on, like I said earlier, on Instagram, I follow a lot of black comic creators because I believe that there is a need for that in today's climate, especially with how pop culture has evolved with a lot more black
Yeah,
people getting involved. And I've told this to some of my colleagues on the Comic Hall and Roundtable discussion that the Monarchs concept is dope. It is awesome in my eyes. And I see it actually doing some great things over a period of time. I know things are working itself out in the pace that it's
yeah,
working. But man, I'm telling you that guy on your shirt and my shirt, I was just drawn to him. And Freedom is another one of my favorite characters as well.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, one of the things I love about Monarchs the most is that you not only do you draw inspiration from real life, but you also utilize the form of African martial arts called, is it Dambe, right?
yes,
Okay.
oh yeah,
Now, I'll be honest, I knew about it. I've seen, Dambe death matches on YouTube and stuff, but
oh
that was
man.
about the extent of it because, I've seen people beating the brake shoes off of people. I'm like, what is that ball on their hand? Like, good God Almighty, these dudes are hardcore. So
Yeah.
as far as it goes, how was it that you came up with that particular concept of using Danbe, and were there any other martial arts you kind of thought about using beforehand, or?
Yeah. So basically, I wanted to kind of do, because of course, Dragon Ball, definitely martial arts oriented.
Right.
Um, a lot of anime is martial arts oriented. And so I was like, man, I want to do that, but I don't want to take traditional, what we would call traditional Japanese or Chinese martial arts and stuff like that,
Right.
and put black faces over it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, let me look at Africa real quick and see what they got. Because I mean, even here, they've taken the one thing that I love about Baki is how they turned Muhammad Ali's whole fighting style into its own martial art, and I
Yeah.
thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, and how they described that. And so I was like, yeah, how can I take stuff like this and kind of transform it into its own martial art? So I started kind of looking into, I looked into Dambe
Mm-hmm.
and I looked into the philosophy of it. Yeah, they look like they beating the brakes off each other, but but there was this whole concept of a shield and spear,
Mm-hmm.
which came from obviously ancient fighting tactics that
Yeah.
Africans used. And I just thought that was amazing. I was like, yo, that's dope. The one hand's up, that's your
Yeah.
shield. The other hand is your spear. That's dope.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so and so I wanted to take that concept, but then I kept looking, and then I found lam. So I got to figure out how to pronounce it. I think it's Lamb,
Mm,
which is Senegalese wrestling.
mm.
And you know, they whoa, woo. You want to talk about some super? Hey, they be working boys on Senegalese wrestling. And I was like, yo, there's an entire ecosystem of fighting styles here. You know, I believe it's Ngolo or stick
Yeah,
fighting.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, yo, this is all amazing. Why can't we take this stuff and kind of put it like a spin on it
Mm.
and you know, give it its own like life, its new life in our stories instead of always running to, you know, what we know.
And you know what?
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
oh, that was it.
Oh, okay. Well, I will. I just wanted to add to what you just said. I think that's one of the many things that kind of drew me into it because, looking on Instagram, you see a lot of creators. You're absolutely right. I mean, a lot of the influences, of course, is going to be from Japanese anime because,
Yep.
I've watched a ton of Japanese anime and continue to watch. Matter of fact, I watched a few episodes of Naruto Shippuden yesterday. The Fourth Ninja War. I'm watching the nine-tailed
Yeah.
fox getting sucked up by the ten tails. But the Edo statue. But anyway, that ain't what we're talking about. But I love the concept that you have because it is steeped in real world applications of African martial arts, and that was like one of the things that really caught my eye. And I'm like, man, this is serious. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth, like I said before, I didn't know too much about Dambe, but once I actually started paying attention to Monarchs, I started doing some research, and that's why I was like, "Oh my God! Like this is like you said, the shield and the spear, like this is dope."
Hmm.
And then I went on YouTube and saw some more Dambe stuff. I'm like, "Okay, well it's a little bit of thinking involved, you know what I'm saying, strategy and
Yeah.
everything." So that's really dope to me, man. And another thing, like I mentioned, was the fact that you draw a lot of inspiration from singers. You also draw
Oh
inspiration
yeah.
from historical figures, both real and fictional. What's your
Yes.
thought process on picking a particular individual? Like, I know I cannot remember their names, and please forgive me, but the characters that
Oh,
you have based on TLC, what is the
yes.
because I've seen I like them, and it's like, okay, so I like that concept. I like how he actually brought them into this particular animated world, the comic world. So what's your thought process on picking individuals to bring into the Monarchs universe?
Yeah. So as far as that goes, growing up, I loved TLC. uh, I loved them. I had a huge crush on all of them, but then, of course, I just thought that their music was dope, and you know, and then of course, just everything that kind of happened to them, you know, as I was growing up, you know, it really, their story like really stuck with me, and then of course, you know, losing Left Eye
Right.
and everything that happened with that, and I'm just like, I guess I wanted to find, I wanted to kind of figure out a way to incorporate, you know, some of these styles. Because the one thing that I loved about the 90s was that every group and every television show, like, you know, we had real character. You
Right.
know, there was wacky clothing and just this dope, super dope clothing that a lot of black artists and a lot of black entertainers had
Hmm.
that, you know, I mean, we got some of it today, but it wasn't like the 90s. So you know, and of course I was like, you know, I want to take that and incorporate it obviously in a futuristic setting. um and so I guess my thought process when it came to including these people is, you know, of course I wanted to give kind of like a shout out or kind of represent, you know, obviously Aaliyah and Left Eye because they are extremely important to Black culture.
Right. Right.
Um, you know, a lot of us grew up with them, and of course, I don't want younger people to not know who they are or to not know, how impactful they were. Um, and of course, anime is huge in the Black community right now with young people.
Of course.
So I said, what better way to bring caricatures of these people into their space,
Mm-hmm.
so that when these kids look at this, of course, me and you and people, who grew up with them, we automatically know who that is. But
Right.
young people are going to be like, well, who is that? And go look, and then say, oh, that's Aaliyah. Oh, now they're going to go listen to her music. Oh, I see why these old cats is, you know, why they into all this. Okay. Um, so that's the one side of thing, kind of going, with hip hop culture and stuff like that. And then of course, you brought up Freedom, who is based off of John Henry, and then you got Liberty, who a lot of people kind of saw like a Harriet Tubman look with her.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to kind of reach out to not just African mythology, but African American mythology, because there's tons of stories,
Oh yeah.
um, beautiful stories that can be told and that we can kind of take and renew.
Cool, cool. And that to me, it actually just adds more to the allure of the whole project because when you see that kind of stuff, and we talked about it briefly before we started the interview, was representation. And I
Yes.
think it's awesome to put that in the perspective where you want to pay homage to Left Eye and Leah, give them an opportunity and a platform to still be an influence in
Yes.
2020. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That is a beautiful thing, man. And I think, again, and I can only speak for myself. That was one of the, several things that I was just drawn to your project, so much so that I decided, man, I've never supported anybody on Patreon before, but I gotta support this brother. I
Man,
got
I
to buy his
appreciate that.
products, man. I got to buy his T-shirt. I got the volume one, like I was telling you earlier, the comics, man. That special edition package that you had, where you signed it
Yeah.
and used my government name when you signed it on the inside of the book. I was like, you know what? I should have told him to sign the Al, but you know what? It's all gravy. But I mean, that is just, it's a beautiful thing, man. And I think
Yeah.
the more your project gets out there and the more people see it. And I think what I really like the most is that within, in my opinion, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, with a short period of time, you've actually experienced a lot of growth on Instagram. Is that
Yeah.
kind of correct assessment?
Yeah, it's been surprising. I definitely can't say it was all, it was all me. It was, of course, you and the audience, spreading the word about that. It was Black Sands, seeing something in this.
Mm-hmm.
Noir Caesar seeing something in this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like a whole, like, I was actually surprised and humbled because it was kind of like an entire community that I had just entered and didn't know anything about, just kind of, just surrounded Monarchs and said, yo, this is dope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, lift this thing up. And I'm definitely and deeply thankful for that and grateful for that. It inspires me to keep going because I'm like, now that y'all put me, you put Monarchs up here. Now we gotta make it work. We gotta make something happen now. Like it's on me to make this thing work.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people trusting in this project, and it's gotta happen.
Yeah. Well, man, I could be one of the 26,000 that you have, and as far as followers, and say that I honestly and wholeheartedly believe that you got a diamond in your hands, man. And it's just, I feel
Thank
like
you.
it's just a matter of time before you get that one call or that one email or that one text message that says, Mr. Bullock, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna work with you on whatever. Man, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's an awesome concept. It's an awesome, premise. And I know I can only speak for myself, but I'm gonna support you, man. Because I
Thank you.
want to see, a young Black man succeed in an area or a genre that you don't really see too much of us. Because up until I actually joined
Yeah.
Instagram, I really didn't see a lot of representation in that avenue. You know what I'm saying? In the quote unquote
You did
anime
not.
avenue. And like I said, I've seen a lot of other guys on there. North Sea, I know you mentioned North Caesar. I'm
Yeah.
familiar with Black Sands with their comic book, and I know at one point you actually collaborated with Black Sands. You care to share any of that information?
Yeah, I collaborated with Black Sands. Actually, was a part of Noir Caesar with Monarchs for about a year,
Mhm.
um, and I know they're dropping an app and stuff like that soon. So hopefully, there can be some more collaboration on that front. But yeah, with Black Sands, Cosmic Girls. If you read Cosmic Girls or anything, and that's another project that I love. Is dope. you know, I'm definitely I personally I think that one's a gem. And set aside the art and stuff, but Manuel definitely put together like a dope story that he's trying to put out there, and I like it. so um, but yeah, no, you're right. I myself did not realize how deep the representation was in this community. I was blind. I was in the dark. Like I had no idea that, and I was one of those people that was like, oh, there's no representation out here. And then as soon as I joined this community of black artists and black comic book creators and black interviewers, podcasters, all this stuff, once I started getting in here, I'm like, yo, there is an entire community that's trying to do something here and
Mhm.
do something big.
Right.
And I said, I gotta with the little money that I had, I gotta try to do as much supporting as I can because, and I've been telling a lot of people that there's a black wave of media content coming,
Mhm.
and I don't know if the world ready for it, but it's about to happen, um, and I definitely want to be a part of that wave.
I believe you will, man. I mean, honestly, like I said, and I don't want the audience to think that I'm just blowing smoke or whatever. I've been in the comic book game, collecting comics and whatnot, watching cartoons and anime for years.
Yeah,
And when I see something that I really like, I tend to gravitate toward that, and I go hard for it. And I
yeah,
also believe in supporting, you know, other black artists, black businessmen, black businesses, the whole nine, because that's what
yeah,
we need. Unity is important, and regardless of what field it is, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a clothing store, whether it's a shoe store, whether it's somebody that's selling skull caps, or whether it's someone like yourself that's an animator and a comic book creator, I want to be in a position to where I can support you. So it's like, I want to see this brother succeed. I want to see his dreams come true, and I want to see more of his product. So
yeah.
um like I said, you out there and you're doing your thing, man, and it's very appreciated. I actually put my little nephews on to it. Now they hadn't really caught
Oh man,
around yet,
yeah.
they're still into that, the Hulk and the Avengers. But every time they come over, I show them the shirt, I show them the comics and everything. And I'm like, just trying to get it in their head so when they get a little bit older, it's like that will be in rotation along with Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and Courage the Cowardly Dog or whatever else they like to watch. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying? So
I was like, they watching Courage the Cowardly Dog. That's what I grew up with.
me personally being a cartoon head, I'm watching that stuff. Dexter's
Oh
Lab.
yeah.
That so by proxy, if I'm into it, they come over like, "What you watching, Uncle?" Like, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Come on, sit down and watch Eustace and Muriel. We're gonna learn something
oh
today.
man.
So like
Right.
it's kind of like what you said with the TLC thing and with Aaliyah, just putting it in a position. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, man, and this is probably a little bit off topic, but kids programming nowadays is like, ugh. And it's like cartoons and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like I don't know where they coming from with a lot of this stuff. So it's like I feel like it's up to me, as an uncle, with a bit of a refined taste to try to introduce them to things that they're not familiar with, and your property Monarchs is one of them. So
Yeah, thank you.
now I did notice that you had a concept that went along with Monarchs called Night Force. Now, what's the
Yeah.
basis of that project?
So Night Force is a side story for patrons. It's a patron exclusive thing
Mm,
because I'm like I need to give my patrons something exclusive, for supporting me and for supporting Monarchs. Just trying to show thanks. So basically, the story follows a character named Rook, who wants to be a part of the Night Force. And the Knights were actually introduced in chapter 2 of Monarchs. So you had Nini and you had Chazzy at
mm,
the beginning of chapter 2, who kind of got intertwined with what Jakari and Pepper and the Gallon Boys were kind of doing.
mm,
Um, but so yeah, it's a little bit darker in tone than the regular story with Jakari. I know and understand that there aren't too many people that get into children's fun kind of running around kind of tales, and
mm.
some people do like that darker anime. And while it's not, I ain't going like uh, Dead Man Wonderland or anything like that. uh, it's going to be a little bit darker, a little bit more contained of a story, whereas, the story with Jakar is a little bit more widespread and he's kind of like experiencing the world. This one's more kind of focused on one city, that Jakari obviously ends up getting to.
Mm.
Um, but it's more focused on this city and what's going on within this city. The two characters I introduced today, Ricochet and Slingshot, are two of the antagonists within the story. That Rook and his crew got to deal with. So it's more focused on kind of like the Knights are kind of the police of the Monarch universe.
Okay.
So that's kind of what he wants to aspire to be. He wants to be a knight, as well as his friends. So
Okay. Cool. Cool. So, at the end of the day, what would you say your overall goal is for Monarchs?
man, so um, I definitely want. I want Monarchs, and I don't want to sound conceited.
Mm,
I kind of wanted. I wanted Monarchs to be how Dragon Ball was for anime. It introduced all of us, or many of us, to a whole different form of cartoon animation
mm,
that many of us had never experienced before. And I'm hoping that Monarchs can kind of do the same thing and kind of help usher in this, like I said, this black wave of content, and maybe be a part of that really draws and brings people in. Um, I definitely want to create a universe with this. That's kind of why I'm already kind of starting to kind of weave things and kind of separate little stories here and there. So that way I can create kind of a universe, kind of kind of a One Piece type deal. Um, because of course we know One Piece is huge.
forever.
Um, so something along those lines, something where it's kind of just this sprawling world. And the one thing that I definitely want to do, because I know people are like, man, you got so many characters and stuff like that, and I'm like, the one thing that I want to do is I want the world to feel alive. I want you to look at a character, like I want you to look at Slingshot and Ricochet, who I just put up, and be like, I'm into these characters, even if they play a small role in this bigger universe, of Monarchs going on. I'm into these characters. I like how they, I just like them.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of what I want to do. I want to create a universe for the Black community, to be able to go to.
Cool. Cool. Now, it of course, you want to put everybody on to it, which I don't, I put everybody on, just like that hot
Yeah.
sauce commercial. I put it on everything. I don't care who I tell about it, man, because I feel like it needs to be out there. But I'm with you on that, man.
Yeah.
Representation, is always key, and it's always
Yeah.
good to see, a positive, product such as yourself, your product, out there, being, shown to the masses and everything, man. So it's a beautiful thing. You got my support, brother. I mean,
Thank you.
whatever
Thank you.
I could do, to share, I'm gonna share. It doesn't matter, man. If you put out about 2 more Cyrus shirts, I'm gonna jump on them. So I need to get the volume 2. I haven't picked up the volume 2 books yet, but I will be getting them soon. But
Yeah.
tell the people where they can find you, man, on social media, as far as your how you can buy your books and any of your
Yeah.
merchandise.
Yeah. Well, before I describe that, chapter 3 is in the works.
Oh,
Finishing that up.
okay.
It's taking a bit longer than I was hoping, but some other work stuff got in the way. But it is coming along and should be dropping soon. So you can basically pick up a copy of Monarchs chapter 1 and 2, monarchscomic.com. I do ship internationally for anybody listening international. And I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook at Monarchs Comic. I'm on Twitter too. Not, I it'd be better if you followed me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm more active on those platforms. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Okay. Cool. Well, I want to just show this off,
Oh man.
just to show y'all, I'm down for the cause. It's some good
Oh
stuff.
man, I appreciate
Unfortunate
it.
thing, man, I've been trying to find, and I noticed that you got yours framed. I've been trying to find frames where
Yeah,
I live forever, and none of the stores have them. And Amazon, I don't know what's going on with them. They be tripping.
yeah, yeah,
So it's a good
yeah.
read, really good read, really interesting characters. I just wanted to, show y'all. So my support with Monarchs is there. So any
Thank
other
you.
parting words? You're welcome, sir. Any other parting words you'd like to impart to anybody? Any words of wisdom to any young people that might be, looking at the interview and saying, "How can I get into this particular thing that Josh is in?"
Yeah, I guess I would just tell young people, you know, put your stuff out there. Don't be afraid. Um, I talk to a lot of young artists who are like, well, it's not perfect. It's not there yet. And if you follow Monarchs, or if you go back even on my Instagram feed, you can see how the series, the art style evolved from what it was two years ago.
Mhm.
Um, don't be afraid to put your stuff out there, even if it's not perfect. Don't be afraid to put it out there, because putting that stuff out there is what's going to get people to share it, like it, support it. And you might have a dope idea, and if you keep it huddled up because you waiting on it to be perfect, the world's not going to see it, and you're going to be waiting forever. Artists, we're our worst critics. We are our worst critics. Because there's parts of Monarchs where I'm still like, nah, this ain't where I want it to be yet.
Mhm.
But get it out there. Get it out there.
Cool, cool. Sage words of wisdom. And Josh, just want to say thank you so much once again,
Oh
man,
man,
for
thank you.
allowing me to interview you, man. I know the last time there was slight hiccups, but we here and
Yeah.
we doing it right now.
Yes.
Folks, if you want to support, Josh has Patreon. Go to his
Yeah.
Instagram, his Facebook, and he just gave all the information in regards to his merchandise, sweet T-shirts. It's not only Cyrus, but he got some Jakari shirts and some Crown shirts, which I'm gonna pick up one of them next.
Yes.
But yeah, if you want to get behind a good project, look no further than Josh Bullock and Bullock in
Oh,
Monarch.
yes. No, you could. It's both ways. It goes both ways.
Well, Josh, man, it's been a pleasure, man, and I'm glad we were finally
Yeah.
able to link up. So I hope everyone that's watched this interview has enjoyed it. If you're due to on the Comic Hall and Roundtable discussion, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Again, go check out Josh on Instagram and Facebook. He has some really good content on both, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. But again, Josh, thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule, man, to interview with me. Any
Oh, thank
parting
you.
words? Anything else you want to say?
Um, there's a black wave of art coming. That's all I'm gonna say.
Black Wave of War
It's
Comics.
coming.
Yes, y'all better have a life raft or life vest or something. It's coming. I see it coming. But again, Josh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Again, like, share, subscribe, check out our content. And that's pretty much it. But on behalf of Mr. Bullock, this is Al, the Comic Hall and Roundtable discussion. We're gonna go ahead and end this interview. Y'all take care.